And we are live. Welcome to today's live stream of Bulls, Bears, and Breakfast, brought to you live by the PrimeXBT Trading Academy. My name is Dirk. I'm head of trading education here at PrimeXBT. I'm also a professional trader who has been trading the markets for more than 25 years now. And boy, oh boy, do we have put together a show for you today. And I want to jump right into it because today time is going to be of the essence. And I want to talk the Bitcoin mining sphere. So eventually apparently they made some very large investments into some Bitcoin mining companies. And I want to look a little bit of a background, what that really means long-term for all of the crypto sphere, especially also, of course, Bitcoin, but also altcoins and so on and so forth, and how potentially we as traders in the future can actually profit from this, or maybe if this is like the beginning of the end and leads to a centralization of cryptocurrencies. I can see we have some people already live here. As always, feel free to ask your questions live here. If you're watching a recording of this, you can, of course, also leave your question in a comment underneath the stream, underneath YouTube, and then I'll come back and answer your questions later. All right, let's open the charts here and jump into the action. So let me just quickly go over here. So what we've been seeing here, and if you've been watching Bulls, Bears, and Breakfast, other live streams, if you've been following me a little bit on Telegram, for example, our Telegram Academy channel, by the way, for everything I'm mentioning here in terms of Telegram channel, in terms of the so-called SSG system, in the description of this video, you will find, of course, links so you can get that, what I'm talking about, that information also for free. Remember, here at the Academy, everything we do for you, we do for free. And your subscription to the channel is, so to say, the payment you can leave us. By the way, I hope everybody can hear me good, because I'm using for the first time a new micro here. I'm a little bit unsure if this is working properly. So maybe if you are hearing me well and the audio quality is good, you could just leave a message down there saying everything is all right, so I know everybody can hear me. Until then, I'm going to continue again. So let's first look here at Bitcoin. And I've been saying this for the past weeks. First of all, we've been talking a lot about this volatility breakout. So talking obviously about what happened here. Before that, we had this Bollinger squeeze pattern here, where and those are actually just two plain Bollinger Bands. And every time they start contracting like this, like you see here on the chart, that symbolizes that there's, like, so to say, a declining volatility, and a declining volatility sooner or later always explodes into a sudden volatile movement, of course, either to the upside, to the downside. I would have preferred it to the upside, obviously, but it came then to the downside. Of course, news always a catalyst for something like this. In this case, it seems to be like SpaceX selling their Bitcoin, $200 million worth of Bitcoin was kind of a catalyst to the downside. So Elon Musk still has this influence on the crypto market, sadly, something that might change actually over the course of the next years. And again, and this is very typical also for the phase of the market, phase, this accumulation phase we are currently in for Bitcoin, for all the altcoins and so on and so forth, is that you always have this large sideways moves, then a suddenly volatility outburst. So we had the same here, sideways move, volatility outburst to the north in this case, of course. And yeah, then it's back to being bought again. And of course, I mean, if you're a long-term trader, you want to hold on to your Bitcoin for a couple of years or maybe for eternity, it doesn't really matter to you. If you're a swing trader, this kind of can be, I mean, if you're a scalper, this is deadly. Those low volatile sideways move, it's very hard to really capture some nice intraday moves here. But also if you're a swing trader, it's difficult, because you have to start playing with support and resistance a lot. Prior to us slumping down here to 25K or almost 25K, the support was here at 28,450, resistance obviously at 31,000 US dollars. So this support here at 28,450, of course, has now turned into a resistance. So I'm just going to market red. And I said it last week on the live streams of Bulls, Bears, and Breakfast that I kind of was waiting for something like a confirmation here. I said there's a very high chance that 25K, at least for the moment, is going to be the bottom, can be the bottom also for the next month, in my opinion. But I wanted to see some action here from my so-called sniper signal generator. Sounds very fancy, I know, which is basically like a lot of the stuff I analyze on a daily basis, put into a trading system or into trading insights. So I don't need to scroll through charts over and over again through thousands of charts every day. It automatically alerts me then when it sees an area to buy and an area to sell. But as with every trading system, you should not just blindly follow those buy and sells arrow. They need to be put into perspective also. So what you want is, and this is kind of what we're seeing right now here in Bitcoin, if I zoom a little bit in, you want to see this buy signal, for example, aligning with an area of support, and then you want to have enough leeway to the upside also. Because, if you get like a long signal, for example, here now, and it came here yesterday at about 26,000 US dollars, it's not really a good signal if the potential is just until 26,500 US dollars and the downside is like 3 or 4 or 5,000 US dollars. You get what I mean? So the risk reward ratio should be lining up. You should be able to earn more than you lose. And I think at the moment, this is kind of the case here, because the way I see it, potentially we could see a move up here again to 28,450. Of course, we need to get at 27,430 at the moment, also over this 200 days moving average, which is the red line here. Now, I've been making quite good experience with a setup where, for example, if I see a confluence of, for example, now a buy signal and a zone of support, that I exit somewhere around the 100 days exponential moving average, which is the solid yellow line here you are seeing, which currently is at 28,100 apparently. So this is like a typical trade I would actually risk to trade. I actually did this trade. I entered this trade this morning, and but I didn't enter it with the whole position size I typically would build up. So my typical position size on a swing trade like this might be something like 5 Bitcoin, for example. So I would buy 5 BTC versus US dollar. I'm going to show you later also how to execute that on PrimeXBT, obviously. And I won't enter with the full position first. I would scale in, because what you very often see is that you have multiple, that first the price might actually continue a bit downwards or sideways, and you get like a couple of a bunch of more buy signals there, and I want to scale then slowly in by, for example, on this buy signal, I bought 1 Bitcoin. On the next one, I might add to this position 1 Bitcoin. So I slowly scale myself into the market, because don't be mistaken, even though I've been doing this for 25 years, it's almost impossible to exactly catch the top or bottom of a move, especially if you're using a contrarian trading system like this one is. And so you want to scale yourself slowly in. You want to make sure that this aligns with areas of support and resistance. And this is typically how I use this system. And you can also use that on the 1 hour time frame, for example. This is where we publish the automatic trading insights. As I said, link in the description of this video, of a stream. So feel free to try it out for yourself. Audio is great, I hear, 5 by 5. Very good, happy to hear that. So an investment in this new Blue Yeti microphone really paid off. Luckily, I just got it because my old one broke down. And luckily, Amazon was able to deliver on time. Good. So that's it about Bitcoin. I want to show you another example of how important it is with this kind of trading system to look for areas where you see where the signal direction appears in areas of support or resistance. And this is what happened on the S&P 500 about, I think it was like 2 weeks ago. Those of you who watched me streaming then, who read Telegram, will remember this also, where we had this area of resistance here at 4,580. This is the S&P 500 now. Let me make it a bit bigger. And we had this sell signal then, and I said, this is a good area to trade it, and probably you can trade it all the way down to this support level here at about 4,316. We didn't quite reach this, so the low was, about 10 points higher, but still pretty good trade. And this is what I mean, and this is really where the strengths of this SSG system are. If you combine it, if you wait really for the signals that are in areas of support or resistance, this is when a contrarian system, which this is playing strong. If you look, for example, here at the signal before that, which also was a short signal, it was also a fine trade. You were able to capture quite some point here. And as a matter of fact, like from 400 down to 330, so easy 50 points you could have captured there. But still, of course, there was not so much leeway, not so much way down to this level of support here until the price bounced off again. And you want to really wait until you have a lot of upside or downside, because it was a short trade in this case, and a limited stop loss. So for this position, for example, let me do like this. My stop was around about here at 5,665. So again, here also, I'm waiting now for a new setup here in the S&P 500. I stated here multiple times, I want to see first price going down to the support here, which we did. And then I want to kind of wait, like if I get, for example, a new signal from my sniper signal generator, which is not going to be the case at the moment, because for this second indicator I use it with, which is called danger zones. I know it sounds overly dramatic. I want to wait for the long signals until we are here in a bright green area. Vice versa, I only want to trade the short signals that are in a bright red area, which in this case happened here. You see this one aligns with the short signal we saw there. So nothing to do there really in the S&P 500. If you're still short on that, you might at least move your stop loss to an area where you can capture some profits. Maybe we are going down there. I don't see really why at the moment. Probably a lot going to depend also on the economic data we're going to see over the course of the next days. Last but not least, quick look here at the Nasdaq. Not much happening here at the moment. Again, here you see not much areas of support resistance, but here we had just trading the signals together with the bond instruments is also not enough. Obviously, let's have a quick look at euro dollar. I think there's more interesting things going on here at the moment. There, I was looking a lot at this retracement. Let me zoom out a little bit here. I still have my drawing pencil, no wonder. Here we go, which was the 50% retracement from the strong going US dollar we saw last year. So all the way here from January 2021, actually 2 years almost, until what was that, end of September 2022, and then came the turnaround. And right now we are somewhere here at the 50% retracement of this massive slump. And I said, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, actually, I expected that we kind of bounce off and go higher again. Long term, I'm a bit more bullish on the US dollar. So that means euro, US dollar going down. But actually, we were deflected. And right now we are fighting here with this red line, which is the 200 days moving average, or with something very important institutional investors are looking at also. And you can see the question really is, are we going to break through? Now, if I want to do a risky trade here, I could actually trade and say, like, I'm betting on the euro dollar being deflected again, going higher, and first maybe back to this 50% retracement again, or to this 100 days moving average, which would mean a long position here at 108 roughly, with an upside potential until 109.35 roughly. But that would be really kind of a risky trade, so it's not a swing trade I like to do. Because the moves here also are largely dependent on what we are going to see in terms of news coming out. All right, so next one. So in summary, again, Bitcoin for me, a clear long position. If I see a clear long position, I say this is of course my own opinion. No financial advice. Guys, you have to do your own due diligence, obviously. Please do me that favor. Don't come back and say like what Dirk said. I've done this for a long time, but that doesn't mean I'm right every time. If I'm right more than 50% of the time with a good risk-reward ratio, I'm going to earn money. And this is always my goal. So Bitcoin long at the moment, S&P 500, we want to wait. What happens now around this area, 4,300 to 4,400. Euro, US dollar, also I want to wait first if we see a bounce back really to the 50% retracement from this large slump down from this US dollar strength we saw until last year in September. And yeah, second part of the video, kind of news, which popped up here a couple of days ago, or started popping up. A lot of people reporting on this on Twitter, which by the way is always great for getting on-time notifications, in my opinion. And I just picked here the Bitcoin therapist because that one popped up first with this. BlackRock seems to be entering Bitcoin mining, and by buying a majority shareholder, I don't think it's a majority shareholder, by the way, but by buying a stake in 4 out of the 5 largest Bitcoin miners. And so this means like they bought a stake in Riot blockchain with 6.14%, Marathon Digital Holdings 6.4%, Cypher Mining 0.88%, which by the way makes them the second biggest shareholder. Hut 8 Mining, no further details on this, and TerraWolf. These are private mining companies that mine for themselves, and not to be mistaken with mining pools. And of course, why is that important for the market? First of all, it's important because BlackRock, in fact, if you didn't know that already, is the largest money manager in the world. So this is data from 2021. I need to look up the newest data on this. They oversee 10 trillion US dollars of funds. They have 10 trillion US dollars of funds, assets under their management. This is mostly not from private investors, but from so-called institutional investors. Institutional investors like public pension funds. So if you are foundations and so on, for example, if you are in the US working for a large corporation and you have a pension plan there, that pension money very often will be managed then, of course, by a pension fund, and that pension fund then gives some of that money to BlackRock to invest that in their products. And we've seen already in the past week, they applied also for a spot Bitcoin ETF that is going to be listed in the USA, together, by the way, with other large investment companies as well. So far, this has always been declined. Seems like the SEC also wants to delay the possible approval of this until early 2024. So I'm not expecting any positive news on this anymore. But apart from this, BlackRock, this investment behemoth, also entering Bitcoin mining. So they're kind of investing into this decentral network, if you want to say. Now, of course, there are two sides to this, in my opinion. First of all, it's a good thing, because with BlackRock, there's institutional money entering the cryptosphere, and especially entering Bitcoin. So long term, it should help Bitcoin, actually midterm already, it should help Bitcoin to establish itself as something that is not kind of like, oh, here, look at this digital currency, scammy kind of thing, but something that is solid, that you can have maybe as a company on a balance sheet as well. And this is kind of like an investment as gold, for example, digital gold, which is something it is called. very often, and which I kind of agree to as well, to a certain extent at least. So this shows like Bitcoin or the whole, and with Bitcoin, of course, most of the cryptocurrency world being taken more seriously, because if BlackRock enters this, it's for sure just a matter of time until other investment managers out there, the smaller ones, are also going to do that, because they are going to say, well, if BlackRock is doing this, if the biggest guy, the wealthiest guy in the room is doing this, we should do that too, because maybe they know something we do not know. So it's going to add to the seriousness, to the legitimacy of Bitcoin, of this digital assets. Now, the other side of the medal also is people are saying, well, if they have 10 trillion US dollars assets under management, who says they are not going to completely take over Bitcoin mining? And first of all, you have to see here with their investments, they are number 2 shareholders in those companies, but it's still just an investment of 6.1%. So those are large companies, 1.92 billion US dollars in valuation, for example, for Riot Bitcoin. This is a large company, right? And so compared to the 10 trillions they're managing, these are rather small investments still. Second of all, it takes more to centralize Bitcoin mining. If we, for example, here look at the pool stats we are seeing. So these are the top mining pools over the course of the last year that possess a certain percentage of the hash rate here. So hash rate being, of course, the networking, the computational power of the Bitcoin network currently. And we see here, for example, Foundry USA, which is the biggest Bitcoin mining pool. And they, of this hash rate over the last year, they own roughly 30%. Always remember, 51% would put you in the position where you could kind of try to take over the network, do double spending and all the fun with it. Although it's not so easy, guys, with a big network. And the question always would be, of course, also, why would they do it? What incentive would they have by basically trying to destroy the network? Now, of course, you'll very often when hear critics say, well, if Foundry USA already owns around 30%, what keeps them from going up to 51%? Now, you have to see that this is a mining pool, not a company. And a mining pool, by definition, consists of many individual miners. So if you at home, for example, are mining Bitcoin with some hardware, you can connect to this mining pool, Foundry USA, and provide your hash rate to the pool, make the pool even stronger, and then every time they find a new block, you get your percentage of share from the newly found Bitcoin. And so by their own records, and of course we have to take this with a grain of salt here also, they have about 20,000 individual miners who contribute their hash rate to this Foundry pool. So even if you would, like a pool like this would go to 51%, it wouldn't mean like that there's a 51% attack already coming. It's something I wouldn't like, of course, obviously. Nobody would like that, but it doesn't mean like, oh, now the Bitcoin network is going to be hacked. For a private company to do so, for example, like Riot Blockchain or Marathon Digital Holding, it's a whole other different story. I don't know. I'm still in the process of researching how much hash power they individually have, because, of course, that would be nice to see. Like how much hash power, for example, does Riot Blockchain by itself with their own mining operation have in comparison to the mining pools out there? My educated guess at the moment is it's far below, probably 10%, far below even 5 or 3%. But this is something I'm going to further research. I'm trying to get some data on that, planning to put out a video on this by the end of last week to put all of this in context, also talk a little bit more about BlackRock, because it's not just here the 10 trillion US dollars BlackRock has in assets under management. They also have, for example, a technology platform that helps in investing for pension funds and so on, which has at least 21.6 trillion US dollars in assets. So this is big news, guys. And of course, this is not having an immediate impact on Bitcoin, on the price of Bitcoin or other digital assets. But in the long run, with more and more asset managers like BlackRock, like Vanguard, like VanEck, and so on and so forth, entering the cryptosphere, the more the whole institutional sphere of investors will also be forced to maybe put 1% or 2% or maybe just even 0.5% of their assets in something like Bitcoin, in cryptocurrencies, in a portfolio of cryptocurrencies. And that potentially means trillions of US dollar flooding into the cryptocurrency markets. In my opinion, this is going to be like the great news, the great maybe underlying tone for the next bull run, which is in the beginnings of starting right now. As I said also many times before now, the last weeks, doesn't mean straight up from here. As always, in those 18 months prior to the halving, with large swings to the upside, maybe to something even like 40, 45,000 with large swings to the downside. Maybe we're going to see 20,000 again. Maybe this is the low. We don't know yet. However, long term, it's up. And also with potential interest rates going down again next year, we might be seeing something like a super bull run for cryptocurrencies in the early days of formation. Time will tell, and I think we've exceeded already almost our time. Do I see some questions here today? No questions, so everybody is well aware of what is going on in the market. Great, guys. As always, leave us a like, subscribe to the channel. If you want to have more details, make sure to subscribe to our Telegram channel as well. Description in the link, that way around, link is in the description of this video. And I'm also going to leave a link, obviously, underneath the video on the comments. Until then, I'm going to see you guys with a brand new video, probably on BlackRock and their influence on the financial markets on Friday again. And if you don't have time to this, latest next week, I'm going to be back with this show, Bulls, Bears, and Breakfast. Until then, have a good one. Also remember to use the stop loss.